Number, please. This is Irina Boxoff.
This is Father Arno Moriani. Hello, Professor. At the request of my hierarchy, I'm investigating the persistence of certain superstitions. You are an authority on questions of folklore and popular beliefs.
You flatter me. Let's say that I've had the good fortune to inherit the library of my predecessor, Professor Hermann von Bergen. But tell me, what exactly is your investigation focused on?
The belief in those imaginary creatures called vampires.
Vampires. You're interested in vampires.
Just to demystify them, the Catholic Church wants to fight this superstition.
I have serious reserves about getting into the subject. I am in great demand, you know. Could you be more precise about the framework in which you're conducting your inquiry?
I was entrusted with it by Monsignor Felicio Briganti of the Congregation of Rites. If need be, you can contact him by calling Vatican 63.
Your references are serious. I'll accept to help you, Father, but I don't trust the telephone. Could you visit me at my office in Budapest?
Certainly. As early as tomorrow, if it's all right with you.
Very good. I'll expect you.
Oh, I forgot. I was told that you possess a volume related to my inquiry. A biography of Vlad Tepes?
That's true. Professor von Bergen left me Michel Beheim's account in verse. It's a 15th century manuscript, very precious. But did you know that the German prose version was reprinted in 1905? It's a brochure entitled Geschichte Dracula Weide, brought out by the Friends of the Vatican Library.
Published by the Friends of the Vatican Library? In that case, it won't be difficult for me to procure a copy. Goodbye, Professor.
Goodbye, Father. Number, please. Alba Eula, put me through to Germany. Munich, 321941.
This is Professor Heinrich von Krüger.
This is Father Arno Moriani. Professor, I'm calling back to ask for your help.
How can I help you?
Well, it's rather delicate to explain. You should know, first of all, that I belong to the Holy Congregation of Rites. I came to Vladiviste to investigate the life of Martha Caligarl.
Would you like me to talk to you about her? She was a remarkable woman.
To tell the truth, my mission has changed. For reasons that would be a little long to explain, I now have to investigate vampires.
Vampires? Don't tell me. The Catholic Church has started to believe in vampires.
On the contrary, my superiors want to combat this belief. They're alarmed to see how resistant it still is in the 20th century.
Yeah, very good. If it's to fight superstition, you can count on my assistance.
It will be invaluable to me, for I need the viewpoint of a scientist on the vampire myth.
Do you realize this is the very subject of the research I was carrying out with Dr. Caligarl? We discovered a disease, the P syndrome, whose symptoms are quite similar to those attributed to the victims of vampires. So the legend is based on specific medical facts. Dr. Caligarl contacted me while she was caring for a patient called Marescu. His granulocytes showed a very curious anomaly. She sent me a blood sample by carrier pigeon, and we worked on this case together. The result of our collaboration was the discovery of P syndrome. Afterwards, we had to specify the cause of the disease and perfect a serum. For that, I needed statistical data. I asked Dr. Caligarl to take a large number of samples from the population of Vladiviste. Unfortunately, the war interrupted our research.
Did you pick up again with Martha Caligarl after the end of the hostilities?
It wasn't possible for me to contact her immediately. When I was finally able to phone the dispensary, she was dead. It was Dr. Florescu who answered me. I just say that they're not supernatural creatures, but there certainly do exist mentally ill people who are bloodthirsty. Look at Countess Elizabeth Báthory, who in the 16th century bled to death hundreds of young girls before she was walled up alive in her Carpathian castle. In addition, as I mentioned, patients afflicted with the P syndrome suffer from very odd physical and psychological disorders that make them resemble the victims of vampires. Unfortunately, yes. What an abominable novel.
You're too severe. That's not what Oscar Wilde thought.
I won't tell you what I think of Oscar Wilde, and I'll limit myself to the novel. It's a tissue of inconsistencies. Let's see. Stoker affirms that those who die as victims of a vampire should become one in turn. So at that rate, vampirism should spread like an epidemic, with a growth rate faster than Fibonacci's famous immortal sequence. In a first stage, all of mankind would be vampirized, and then, in a second, the vampires would also disappear, not having any victims left to feed on. So Stoker's hypothesis is therefore perfectly absurd. No species can live without regulation.
I have to call Monsignor Briganti to alert him that I'm going to Budapest.
Number, please.
This is Cardinal Felicio Briganti.
This is Father Arno Moriani.
Delighted to hear your voice. So, Mr. Devil's Advocate, what's the weather like in Transylvania?
Stormy. But that doesn't bother me. It gives the countryside a kind of tragic coloring.
My goodness, Arno, you haven't changed. What can I do for you?
I intend to go have a discussion with Professor Irina Boxov in Budapest to complete my file on vampires.
Very good. Will you be coming back to Rome directly afterwards?
If you don't see any problem with it, I'll go back to Vladoviste first. I'll be more tranquil there to write out my conclusions.
Ah, an excellent idea. You'll be able to take advantage of the fresh country air. I also plan on spending a week or two in the country.
Oh, I almost forgot. Could you have a work that was published by the Friends of the Vatican Library sent to me?
Certainly.
It's a bound volume. Geschichte Dracula Vaida, reprinted in 1905.
No problem. I'll send it to you at your inn.
Goodbye, Your Eminence.
Be well, Arno.
Ozana, I'm leaving for Budapest for a day or two. Would you please keep my room?
Well, that is...
Naturally, I'll pay you for my keep, even for the nights that I'm not here.
In that case, of course, Father. I'll keep your room for you.
Greetings, stranger.
Hello, I'm Father Arno Moriani.
I am Luana, the gypsy. Tell me, priest, do you want to know the future?
I'd prefer to ask you about the past and the present.
I have a feeling that before the end you will know more than me about the dragon. Yes. She did not choose an easy path. From behind the high grass, the wolf observes the flock and carries off the weak and isolated.
As usual, the oracle speaks in obscure, mysterious terms.
That is because it does not want to lie, nor provoke the anger of the powerful. Certain things, but I also know the virtues of silence. As much as I want to know.